In today's video, we're working on day 11 of the 30-day scrap quilt challenge. Today's challenge is center star, build everything around one star. Hi everyone, I'm Jackie of Junk Gal 63 Studio, and here we do all things scrap fabric. Our block for today is Ruby Star Quilt Block. It's beginner friendly, and I think it's going to be a fun one to make. This block is built around a diamond shape with strips extending from the long sides, creating a star that feels both traditional and modern. I'll include a template for the diamond if you'd like to use it. For the strips, just grab what you have. The longest needs to be about 6 inches, and your strips can range from anywhere from 1 inch to 2 inches. The Ruby Star Quilt Block was designed by Adelaide Hechtlinger and first published in her 1974 book, American Quilts, Quilting, and Patchwork. And that was published by Stackpole Books, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Star blocks like this one have always held special meaning, symbols of guidance, light, and faith in both Amish and pioneer quilts. The Ruby Star continues that tradition, shining as a reminder of heritage, creativity, and simple joy. For each day in this challenge, a new prompt helps you to generate ideas and try something new. Anything goes. I've got a free prompt sheet for you to download. You'll find that link in the description box below, as well as this diamond template if you'd like to download that. I'll be making each of my blocks 12 inches square, and on the last day we'll complete the final block and assemble our quilt in a quilt-as-you-go fashion. And remember, no rules, no perfection. Let's get started. Let's go over the materials you're going to need for this project. You're going to need 4 pieces of fabric that are about 5 by 7. This will be for our center star. If you want yours to be all the same, you can do that. I just came up with 5 by 7 because that'll be enough to cut around this diamond. You'll need strip pieces, a piece of batting and a piece of backing fabric, 12.5 inches square each, and your basic sewing notions. All right, the first thing we're going to do is just flip over your 4 pieces of 5 by 7 fabric. And let's just draw a line on there. I think it'll be easier to cut that way. And if you don't want to get the template, I will give you the dimensions of this diamond. Whoops, try to stay on the line. There we go. The dimensions for this diamond is the short edges are 3.5 inches. The long are 4.5 inches. It is 6.5 inches tall by 4.5 inches wide at these points. Otherwise, you can go and grab the template. And then I'm simply going to take a ruler and then use my rotary cutter and cut through that. I'll just cut on my lines. More for the crumb pile. Turn this around. Now I have not done this particular quilt block, so we are winging it together. And then at the bottom, I'm just going to round off that bottom. Now we have our star that we're going to build around. And the star will be placed, I'm using my center here, like that. And I did give you a 1/4 inch seam allowance in this template. So we have to account for that. So it'll be like that, like this, the 3rd piece and the 4th piece. And the idea is to add strips to each of the long sides. And we'll see how that goes. But we want to get it out to 12 inches. Now what you could do is take some leftover strip sets, and you could certainly add them onto the long sides and then trim. And if you want, we could go ahead and sew that one on and see how it goes. But for now, we're going to move these out of the way. And what I'm going to do is take this to the sewing machine and sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance along our first long side. Let's flip that open. And then our diamond is like this. So then what we want to do is come in with our ruler and right along this line, we are going to trim. And then we'll flip it around. This is the point at the bottom, this one, right here, and then we will just trim that. And I'll keep that for a strip. So that would be really easy if you just wanted to use strip sets. Because then the next star piece is going to come in like this. And then there will be strip sets right there. Coming down this way. So let's just try to build this out. That's our objective today. So then if I wanted to take strips, I would just go, let's see which side is right side of this fabric, and lay this right here. And I want to cover this entire diamond just to make sure. And then I'm going to trim off the excess. You let me know in the comments what you would do. If you would just do strip sets or... And actually, that would not work because I need these diamonds to go... Oops. I need this to be straight. Actually, it needs to be straight this way. Does that make sense? I'm glad I caught that. So this is the bottom diamond and it needs to be straight this way. So if we took a line, there we go, on our mat, here to here, and then we just took this straight line. So I may have goofed that up just to start with. There we go. That has to be straight. So I hope that I did not goof you up, but I want you to see my mistakes as we go along here. So let's take another strip set and right sides together on the long side. And we'll come back and see how we do with that one. I was able to add the strip set right here. I trimmed it on the bottom and that looks really nice, and then I trimmed it with this short edge. I started working on another diamond and I'll be right back once I have that strip set sewn on. I sewed this strip set on, and I did this one wrong too. I need to make that straight. I know you guys are probably yelling in the camera, that is wrong, that is wrong. Okay, so we need to straighten this one out, but first I'm going to trim this with that angle. It'll be just right on that angle. Another piece. Then this has to be straight. Straight across. And I just want to line up with a line on my mat just to be sure. Right here probably. Move that over. because it has to go straight across. I think I'm going to leave it until I trim up at the end. There. So this one was the bottom. This one is the side. Is it making sense now? I hope so. And then these two will get sewed together. Let me summarize one more time because I'm sure I did not describe this properly. Here's the short edges, but we're going to add strip sets to the long sides. After we do that for each one, which is 2 strip sets, we'll trim that. We'll leave the long edges to trim when we're done. How's that? So let's put these 2 to the side. I need to make a couple more strip sets. I have another strip set ready to go, and I'm cutting my strip sets at 6.5 inches long. And you can put them, I would say, any way you want. So if I go this way, I have enough length here. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So this way is 6.5 inches, just so you know. And then tall, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. So these are 6.5 by 6.5. So that's a good way to remember. And then I'm just going to put it on my long edge of our diamond. And then I will sew and just make sure I have enough to, yes. Quarter-inch seam allowance. I'm back from the sewing machine, and now we just want to put on this long edge, the strip set for that. And I just had an idea. I'm wondering if I can't just use some of the strip sets that I already cut off, because if this comes down this way, I'm just not sure if I'll have enough. Or what if I go this way? If I put it in my square here, yeah, I don't think it would be long enough to go over to my 12 inches. Now this one looks a little bigger. And that one might work. But I'm not going to take any chances. Let's go with the 6.5 by 6.5. We need to add this to this side. This is another 6.5 by 6.5 strip piece set. And we're just simply going to lay that right there. And if it flips open, then we can cut across the bottom to make that straight. I'll do that and I'll be right back. And now we are going to cut straight across. And this is a straight line, and this is a straight line. Whatever you need to do to get straight at that point. And then we'll line that up right on the grids on the ruler. So I have some grids here that say that I'm straight. This is straight from this line to this line. And we're going to cut straight across. Now we have 3 of them done. Let's take a peek at what we have. And then this goes like that. This will go like that. And this will go like that. Now I hope you guys can see where we're going. Here's our star built out with strips. Let's do our last one and see if we can do it, okay? Let me move this up so you can see. And don't mind this extra, we're gonna trim that off. I just didn't want to trim until I was sure I was on the right track with this. So hopefully you can see the star here. Our other one is going to go right here. Okay? All right, let's get the strip sets added to this one. I've got 2 more strip sets ready to go that we're going to add onto the sides. Maybe I will flip this around like this. I think I like that better. I just want to switch it up a little. Maybe like that. And we'll go like that. So let's do that and I'll be right back. So we want to get this centered again. Just pick any line for this point and this point. We just want to get them lined up so that we can get that straight. Right here and right here. And I think that is going to be straight. Okay. Our next challenge is to get this all connected like this. And then this has to go here. And if I trim right here, I should be good to connect. So let's do that. And on the short edge, we want to align with that. And align with the short edge. So that's one, and we had already trimmed that one. Look at that, guys. It's going to fit together. Okay, so that's what we need to do. You just align your strip sets. And this one I think we had already done, because that was the short. Okay. All right, and then the short edge on this. Short edge at that angle. Short edge. All right, now let's see what we have if we put these together. This still needs trimmed. Oh, this has to be trimmed on the bottom. Okay. That's what we're missing. So let's get this one lined up. There's the point at the bottom and then the point at the top. And then we will line up right there. I just lined up an edge here. Okay, that's what was missing. So now we can put this one here, this one here, this one here, and this one here. Look how cute. And I hope you can see the star. Thank you guys so much for staying with me if you've stayed with me this long. But I knew I had the vision to add the strip sets. And if you guys have any suggestions on how it might be easier, be sure to let me know in the comments. But I'm sure by now you're like, finish it up, Jackie. So let's do that. We're going to take this and sew this side together. So as always, we'll grab a clip so we know we're sewing this. We're going to take these two and sew together. This one looks like it might be a little off, but we're okay with that, because we do have that seam allowance in this, so we should be okay. All right. 1/4 inch seam allowance and 1/4 inch seam allowance. I have the two pieces sewn together, and now we just need to bring these two together, line up that center seam, and 1/4 inch seam allowance. I think this turned out so adorable. I do hope you'll give it a try. It's not as complicated as I made it out to be. Let's get some backing and batting on this. But before I do that, I want to take a moment to thank Sherry W. again, one of our wonderful viewers who sent in her next set of blocks from the challenge. So take a peek here. Thank you again, Sherry, for being a part of this journey with us. All right, I have the batting on. Let's flip this over and get some backing on it. I just have a piece of muslin today, and we are just going to do some simple quilting on this. I think I have plenty of room for trimming. I do. And here I cut too close for that point. No, here is fine. Here I think I cut too close for the point. Here, I'm not sure. I may lose the points, and that's okay. We know it's a star. I think I'm going to do some squiggly lines on this. And I kind of like, it kind of looks like crumb quilting, because see little slivers here? You could use even, let's say, 1/2 inch strips in here and get some really cool effects. I hope you'll download the diamond and give it a shot. I'm going to go and quilt this. I think this turned out so adorable. And I know it was a little confusing in the beginning, but I hope you stuck with me. I think we figured out how to do this. So let's get this trimmed up. This is supposed to be the center at 6 inches, and I think that is going to work. And I think I'm going to have enough. I just did some simple quilting with the squiggly lines. Let's turn this around. That'll be the true test if we get our 12 inches. And I am in the center. All right, let's trim that. That's a lot of layers to go through. How adorable. Here is Ruby's Star Quilt Block. Let me know in the comments what you think. Just look how adorable. And you can see the star. And then it has all that scrappy goodness sewn in there. And again, you can have your diamonds all the same color. It's completely up to you. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a Bible verse and a final thought to encourage you. Today's Bible verse is from Proverbs 3, verse 15. She is more precious than rubies, and all the things you may desire cannot compare with her. This verse reminds us that true worth isn't measured by what we create, but by the light God places within us. Just as Ruby's star shines from its center, our lives are meant to radiate love, wisdom and faith outward to others. As you stitch today, remember that every act of creativity reflects His beauty and that you are indeed more precious than rubies. Thank you so much for watching, commenting, sharing. I can't thank you enough. And until the next video, God bless you.